Welcome to the course Formal Language and Automata Theory. In this lecture, we will discuss about normal forms for context-free grammar. The first normal form, Chomsky normal form. Coming to the outline of this lecture, today we will discuss about normal form for context-free grammar. The first normal form, that is Chomsky normal form. Previously, we discussed about simplification or minimization of context-free grammar, how to eliminate useless symbols and useless productions, then how to eliminate epsilon or null productions, then how to eliminate unit productions. These are all various simplification or minimization factors of context-free grammar. So after eliminating all these three types of productions, then only we can say a context-free grammar is minimized or simplified. So after simplification or minimization of a context-free grammar, then we can reduce a context-free grammar into a normal form. That is either a Chomsky normal form or Greibach normal form. So in this lecture, first we will discuss about the first normal form, which is called as Chomsky normal form. Now let us see how to define Chomsky normal form. A context-free grammar is said to be in Chomsky normal form. When you can say a context-free grammar is in Chomsky normal form, if and only if the grammar does not contain the following. So any context-free grammar does not contain any epsilon or null productions. Then the context-free grammar does not contain any unit productions. Then the context-free grammar does not contain any useless symbols and useless productions. So all these three you can recall once. So these are all nothing but minimization or simplification of CFG. So in our previous lectures, we discussed about all this. How can we eliminate for a given context-free grammar if it consisting of epsilon or null productions or unit productions, useless symbols and useless productions. So after removing all these in any given context-free grammar, then only we can convert a context-free grammar into a Chomsky normal form. This is the first condition of a Chomsky normal form. So when you can say a context-free grammar is in Chomsky normal form, if and only if the context-free grammar does not contain any epsilon or null production, any unit productions, any useless symbols and useless productions. This is the basic requirement of converting a context-free grammar into Chomsky normal form. Now, how to define a Chomsky normal form? Definition of Chomsky normal form. A context-free grammar G is in a Chomsky normal form if all the productions are of the form. See, the productions are of the form, the following one or two. The first one is A derives BC. Right hand side, you can see here two variables are there. Left hand side, anyway, one variable. So where A, comma B, comma C belongs to variables, capital V. Or the second rule is A derives a single terminal. Here, small a belongs to T. So all the productions of the context-free grammar is any one of the following two forms. The first one is right hand side, the length is restricted. That too, it has only two variables in the right hand side of any production. Or right hand side, it contains only a single terminal. So any context-free grammar is any one of these two forms. Then you can say the grammar is in Chomsky normal form. Now, how to reduce a context-free grammar into the following any one of the two productions? For that, we have one procedure. So that procedure is called as reducing a context-free grammar into Chomsky normal form. So the two rules what we given here, sentencially, this can be specified as, that is, so what is the meaning of the above two rules? So in Chomsky normal form, the right hand side of the productions are restricted. The following are the restrictions. The first one is right hand side, it has only two variables. That is, the length is 2. For example, A derives BC. Now length of the right hand side variables BC, here how many variables? 2 variables. So here terminals are not allowed, only 2 variables with length 2. That is the first condition. The second condition, right hand side, it has only a single terminal. For example, A derives A. Here A is a terminal. So a single terminal is there. So if it contains more than one terminal, also not allowed. Only single terminal. So this is the meaning of the definition of Chomsky normal form. The two restrictions, right hand side, it has only two variables. Then right hand side, it has only a single terminal. So any context-free grammar satisfying any one of these two conditions, then we can say that context-free grammar is in Chomsky normal form. Now, how to reduce a context-free grammar into Chomsky normal form? For this, we have one theorem. The theorem statement is, for every context-free grammar G, there is an equivalent grammar G dash, which is in Chomsky normal form. So here, a CFG, G is given. Now, converting a context-free grammar into Chomsky normal form, that grammar is called as G dash. Now, how to reduce a CFG to CNF? So using this theorem, for every context-free grammar, there is an equivalent grammar G dash, which is in Chomsky normal form. So now see the procedure to convert a context-free grammar into Chomsky normal form. So in the procedure, various steps are there. To reduce a context-free grammar G into Chomsky normal form, the following steps have to be performed. The step one is nothing but the prerequisite condition of a context-free grammar. That is, the context-free grammar does not contains any epsilon or null productions. The context-free grammar does not contains any unit productions. Then the context-free grammar does not contains any useless symbols and useless productions. That means all these initially we have to eliminate by using the concept of simplification or minimization of context-free grammar, what we discussed in our previous lectures. So the step one is same only. First, we have to eliminate all epsilon or null productions. Then second step, in step one, second point, eliminate all unit productions. Then the third point in step one, eliminate all useless symbols and useless productions. So how to eliminate these three we discussed already in our previous lectures. So using our previous methodologies or approaches, first we have to check out your context-free grammar contains any of these. If so, you can eliminate. Suppose step one is satisfying by default by the given context-free grammar, then you can proceed to other steps. Then coming to step two, after performing the above step one, then if all the productions in the grammar are of the form, all the productions in the given context-free grammar are of the form, that is, A derives BC, that means right hand side only two variables, or A derives single terminal, right hand side only a single terminal. For all capital A, B, C belongs to variables V, then small a, that is terminal, belongs to T. Suppose after performing step one, if all productions in the grammar are of the two forms, any of these two forms, that is right hand side only two variables, then right hand side a single terminal, then we can say that G dash, our resultant grammar is in Chomsky normal form. So every time we won't get all productions after applying step 1 or in the form of the 2 productions, but some productions may be in the required form, that you can keep as it is. Other productions which are not in the required form, that means either 2 variables length in the right hand side or a single terminal. For those productions, you can proceed with other steps. So that is, otherwise, suppose the productions are not any one of these 2 forms, then you have to perform the following steps. Now coming to step 3. So here in step 3, we have to consider the productions which are not satisfying second condition. Those productions only we have to consider. Now, if the productions are of the following form, consider A equal to A1, A2, A3 and so on AN. Here you can see right hand side A consisting of n variables, that is length greater than or equal to 3. But as per our CNF condition, length should be 2 only, not less than 2 also, not greater than 2. Exactly 2 only, 2 variables. So in the right hand side, if it contains more than 2 variables, you can apply step 3. So how to apply this step 3? If the productions are of this form, that is A derives A1, A2 and so on AN, that is n greater than or equal to 3, that means more than 2 variables in the right hand side of any production. So here what you have to do in the step 3, introduce new productions and new variables. By introducing new productions and new variables, we will split the number of variables in the right hand side by introducing a new variable followed by a new production. The intention is by introducing new variable and new productions, we have to restrict the length of the right hand side as 2 variables or a single terminal. So now you can see, by introducing new productions and new variables, how to split the A productions that are given below. Here now A derives A1. See, now we have taken the first variable A1. The remaining A2, A3 and so on AN are splitting by introducing a new variable. Now here D1 is the new variable, where D1 is new variable. Now what is D1 that you can substitute here? Now D1 derives A2, A3 and so on AN can be considered as D1. But again, every time you have to introduce a new variable if it contains more than 2 variables. Like that you have to split. Now D1 derives A2. Here again more than 2 variables are there, then A3 and so on. So can be replaced by using another new variable. So now we have taken in D1 first one as A2, then after A2 remaining all we substituted using a new variable D2. Now here D2 is again another new variable. Like that you have to proceed. You have to split all the productions whenever the right hand side consisting of more than 2 variables by introducing a new variable every time. Then every new variable also must and should contains only 2 variables in the right hand side. Like that you have to split and so on. Now dm minus 2 derives am minus 1 dm minus 1. Here you can see again here the length is 2. Now here dm minus 1 is new variable and even dm minus 2 also. So whatever the new variables introduced, then that new variable again contains a production of the 2 variables length in the right hand side. So like that you can split if a production is of the form more than 3 variables in the right hand side, you can apply step 3. Here whatever the new variables we introduced, d1, d2 and so on, dm minus 1 are new variables. Simply you can split by introducing new variables, then new productions. Then coming to step 4, suppose in the right hand side, if we have more than one terminal or in between variables, if we have a terminal, so at that time you can apply step 4. See, the productions are of the form. If A derives A1, A2, A3 and so on An, suppose if AI means either 1 to n, it may be A1 or A2 or A3 or An or An minus 1. Any one variable contains a terminal, let us say T. So if AI is a terminal, small t, then introduce a new variable for the terminal such that Di belongs to V. So that means here AI derives a terminal, let us say. So now, but AI is in between other variables, not a single variable. So more than one variable is there, but in between a terminal is there. Suppose AI derives T, then you can derive one new variable for the terminal. Now this will become AI derives Di. Now you can see terminal is replaced with variable.